All right. I think we may have it. Well, good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And I've been away on hiatus. It's awesome to be back. And I have so much to share, but today's topic is You Are the Miracle. And I'm really excited to explore what's possible for us when we remove ourselves or go beyond our identification with time and space and knowing ourselves as the physical beings that we believe ourselves to be. So for those of you who are new, this is Maggie. I'm Mira. It's been a week and I'm very excited to be back with you. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get settled in. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream and nourishing every cell, every organ. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any stress, any negativity. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time imagine brilliant bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your molecules, all your electrons, and lighting your cells up to make you glow out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining stress, negativity, fatigue, or tension. And now let's just gently press our palms together and really softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel how delicious it is to have that physical sensation. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm glad. Thank you so much. I'm Dido. I really appreciate your comments, so I know somebody's here and that everything's working. That's awesome. So and wonderful, wonderful to be here with you. So yeah, I spent this past week at a Joe Dispenza advanced retreat. And for those of you who don't know who Joe Dispenza is, definitely check him out, look him up on YouTube, look up his meditation. He is a chiropractor by training, and he was in the movie What the Bleep Do We Know from years ago, which is also a really cool movie to check out. I have to rewatch it. It's been a long time since I saw it. Anyway, um, what he's been doing is convening these intensive retreats where he didn't at this one, but taking measurements, physiological measurements of what happens to people as they are getting into transcendent states of awareness, as they are meditating and going beyond their body and their identities and the identification with space and time. And they're finding all this amazing physiological information about coherence and heart and brain synchronization, and also about all the chemistry that happens in the body when people access these extraordinary states. And from these states, what happens with some of the chemistry is that these remarkable chemicals are being produced that heal us from disease or make us unsusceptible to certain diseases. And what's remarkable is that people have had absolutely supernatural type healing of terminal conditions or chronic conditions, and it's extraordinary and magical and wonderful, full of wonder, to recognize how. Good afternoon, Pat Moss. Wonderful to have you here. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about being the miracle and being unbounded. And I was in the presence. There were quite a lot of people there. There were 1,400 of us there, and it was interesting because we had to have COVID tests to come back, and or a number of us did anyway, and we had to have COVID tests before we went as well. And what was remarkable, one of many things that was remarkable, was that I guess Dr. Joe had asked the people that were doing the COVID tests what their expectation was for how many positive COVID tests they would have. And they said about 40%, which is crazy. Like that's really high. But anyway, not one single person had a negative COVID test. I mean, had a positive COVID test, which is remarkable. And it goes to this whole idea of what the chemistry is that we produce when we access these supernatural states. They're natural states, but they're beyond what we normally expect or call natural. Welcome, Tammy. Good to have you here. It's so good to be back with you guys. So I had occasion to speak to so many really interesting people and to witness so many changes in people, and to feel a sense of deeper connection and elevation. There were a number of people who accessed enlightened states or states of phenomenon where they had the deep connection with God and with the universe and oneness and like this ecstatic experience. There were quite a few people who had that experience. I have not yet had that experience, but I know that I'm on my way there. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to see you back here as well. And welcome, Stacy. Wonderful to have you here. So we're talking about being the miracle. And I think we are so conditioned by our routines and by life that we tend to become distanced from our capabilities that are kind of superhuman, supernatural, where we have the ability to transform our bodies. Maggie's very excited. Maggie, come here, baby. Come say hi to everybody. Yeah, come on, bud. Come on, Maggie. So I thought maybe I could lure her with some of her food. Maggie, come here, baby. She's just very excited. Anyway, when one of the biggest takeaways for me from this week away, besides getting much more solid in my own meditation practice, is what is that is really that we are creating our world and we are creating our experience, and that when we tap into this field, this unbounded field, we can access any possibility, and we can access the genius of the universe propelled by our own intention and emotion, and we can live truly inexplicably miraculous lives. And so Christina says, I took the heart math class and another breathwork class over the pandemic. So interesting. Not sure if it helps prevent anything, but it has helped with people struggling with breathing in our COVID patient support group. That's awesome, Christina. Well, so heart math and breathwork, heart math is really about creating coherence between our heart rate and our brain wave patterns, and that's very much what Dr. Joe is up to too in these meditations is to create coherence. And when we get into this state of coherence, this state of resonance, we actually do have the capacity to experience our unboundedness and to experience the source energy that we are, that that is not limited by the physical perceptions and ideas and beliefs and limitations that we are programmed into. Um, and and there was a lot of conversation about frequency, and we talk about frequency a lot here. Um, that we can access all different frequencies, and that each idea, each thought, and a lot of this stuff isn't new. I mean, we've been speaking about so much of it for a long time, but just to reinforce that each thought has a frequency, that each belief has a frequency. All things have a frequency because we live in an energetic environment, that really all there is energy. And when we can create a more direct connection with that energy, then we have the ability to transmute ourselves, and from that field we can shift, and we can access so much more possibility, so much more potential to become truly the creators of our universe in a conscious and directed way. So, like when we start feeling like life is happening to us, this is such a beautiful thing, is to go into the field. Um, oh, okay. So it sounds quiet. Thank you, Dido. I'm wondering if did that help? And I'm bringing the microphone closer. Tell me. Okay, so it's better. Thank you for that heads up. I appreciate it. And so good to see you here. So I'm just so excited to truly experience these synchronicities. And the more that we're connected to the field, the more that we're connected to the possibility of the field, the more we're able to manifest from that field. So by going into this mental space, or this space of being where we calm ourselves, where we're present, where we're breathing, where we can allow ourselves to be in boundless space, beyond time, beyond knowing. So as Dr. Joe says, no thing, no body, no place, no time, to just be moving into that vast nothingness. In that vast nothingness is energy, and we get to sort of commune with that energy. And the art of manifestation, as we know, is to create an intention and then an emotion. So the as again quoting Dr. Joe, the intention or the intention sends the thought out, and the emotion draws the experience back. So it's creating sort of a magnetic attraction. And we've talked about this. It's just that there's a little bit more. Um, one of the things that I love about Joe Dispenza is that he couches this metaphysical information in a scientific foundation. He looks to explain the science behind the mechanisms of it. And I think that that's probably what led him to be doing all these physiological tests and checking blood even after someone has one of these transcendent experiences to see what is transformed in the blood. And it's just very, very exciting and quite remarkable. So I encourage you to check out his books, his website. um, his books are, some of them are, let's see, You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and um, uh, maybe some Becoming Supernatural might be another one. And what I find so exciting, this is stuff that so many of us know, right? But or we were able to think about, but to embody it is a whole other thing. And when we recognize the synchronicities in our lives, we are recognizing that we've been connected with the fields, to just have an intention, to have uh, the emotion associated with the having of what it is we're wanting or desiring to draw into our lives. And then we get to see how these things materialize. And it's really, really quite remarkable. So Christina says, yes, he's the one I've studied about the placebo effect. Fascinating. Yes, so there's something to be said about maybe all medicine being placebo effects. This is not a Dr. Joe thing, but I'm just thinking, I have been reading for years about studies where people were were in a cancer study, for example, with a terminal diagnosis, and were given a test, um, or an experimental treatment, and we're told that this experimental treatment is so far 99 or 100% effective, and as a result of taking this treatment, they there was this one study that I had read. It was remarkable, about a guy who had all kinds of lesions, and was given something crazy like 4 days to live, uh, from cancer, and took this medicine and healed. His lungs cleared, his lesions cleared, and then he found out that he had gotten a placebo and not yeah, he had gotten the placebo and not the medication, and then he died within a few days. I mean, crazy, amazing stuff like this. In fact, one of the things that we did was coherence healing, and where um, each each group of like 5 people had one person that they would focus their energy on. We all came to this place through a meditation um, to and lift our energy, and to focus ourselves in our heart center with a deep experience of love. And then we each had a photograph. So 5 people had the same photograph, and we were just to send love to that photograph, to that person. And we got a report back from one of the people that was in the photograph that they had sarcosis lesions rather, that just disappeared in the space of 2 days of that healing, that they just disappeared. Remarkable, remarkable. Dido, thank you. So Dido gave us a link in the chat for You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter. And it when we think about the words making your mind matter, that's something that Dr. Joe talks about quite a lot. And what he means by that is setting your intention and bringing that intention into fruition, into matter. So making what is in your mind, your intention, your vision, making that manifest. And so, yeah, that's a awesome book. And so, in talking about being the miracle, because we are, what does it look like to be the miracle? How do we access that? And we have this remarkable capacity for transcendent consciousness, for not being in the presence of even, but being the divine, being present to the divine within us. And so many of us here are very heart-centered people. When we focus our attention on the energy of the heart, in conjunction, obviously, with our other energy centers, but um, there's such power in the presence that we can access through this remarkable physical battery that we are, in a way. You know, we're a magnet. We have polarity, you know, where we create this magnetism. And when we have the opportunity to or when we give ourselves the opportunity to really connect to and activate this remarkable um, broadcasting and receiving. It's like we're radio receivers and transmitters. And when we learn how to utilize this wonderful vehicle that we are, it gives us access to a whole different dimension of experience. Maggie, no biting, no biting. So she missed biting my ears. I think she's getting making up for lost time. Anyway, I I would say that the information is not necessarily new, partly because I've been immersing myself in Dr. Joe's work. So there's, you know, the material that I was exposed to over the week was familiar in many ways, but there was more of a scientific foundation, so that somehow lends some veracity to this whole thing, in the ability to believe it, even though we already know. And and being in the presence of so many other people who were having a similar experience or a similar intention toward this meditation, toward this awakening, toward expansion and growth, was really transformative in and of itself, because there's so much richness in the collective. And that's why, like, this community here is so valuable, because we have like-minded people together that we can be collaborating and reinforcing our intentions and capacities. So Diana says, greetings to all. Everything is vibrational frequency, energy, all words, thoughts, feelings, actions. Exactly. We are to say, dear spirit within, I seek to connect to my innate smart body. Dear spirit within, I am sending divine love, divine light to my cells now. That's beautiful, 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 because it really, however we get there, right? So one of Dr. Joe's meditations, beautiful meditations, is Blessing of the Energy Centers. You might even be able to find it online on YouTube. But this is something that was also really wonderful, is each energy center our chakras. Each of them has their own frequency, and something that stuck with me that I hadn't connected before, that Dr. Joe said, was that each of our energy centers has its own mind in its own way. It has its own frequency, and that when we bless each center, when we presence ourselves to each energy center and feel it and allow it to vibrate and to align, that as we feel each of those centers and then harmonize them, that we're creating an alignment within our body, we're activating our body, and that these frequencies overlay one another and become this more dimensional frequency. At least this is me translating my understanding. This is not Dr. Joe's words, but if we recognize that each center has its own frequency, as those centers harmonize, those frequencies become more complex and richer and richer. And I am picturing it now as making this multi-dimensional mandala. So and that mandala, as all these energies are aligned, then that is kind of a portal. We're creating a portal to this other dimensional experience. Good morning, Kimberly. So good to have you here. And everybody else, I'm so glad to be with you after this week-long adventure into other dimensions of space and time. And I had so many wonderful synchronicities happen, and I'm excited to see what unfolds as a result of the work that I've done and continue to do now. There was one day we did a 5-hour meditation, and another day we did a 4-hour meditation. It was really, really amazing to be in that space and to have no sense of time, where it certainly didn't feel like that amount of time. It felt like maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half had passed, perhaps, but I think knowing that we have the ability to, or that we really do exist beyond time and space, that when we have that access, it gives us the ability, I think, to recontextualize our physicalness, and certainly recontextualize the challenges that we have in our daily lives. And I want to put this out there as before we call it a morning, and that is that in this unlimited field, all possibilities exist, right? And when all possibilities exist, when we're in a situation that we just can't figure out, we can't figure out how to correct it, we can't figure out how to get beyond it, then what we can do is go into that space beyond time, beyond space, beyond knowing, and to go to our imagining of being in the place where that circumstance is resolved. We don't have to know how, but to access, how will it feel to know that I'm on the other side of that? How will it feel to know that it got taken care of miraculously? And to presence ourselves to that gives us access to that, to be able to be the magnet for whatever that circumstance is. And the thing is that the universe is so much more creative than we could even imagine. where resolution to things arise in ways that we would never even conceive of by just presencing ourselves to the possibility of things beyond what we can conceive. So um, I hope I would encourage, I would invite you to check out Dr. Joe's work, and he makes sense out of what we often already know, but he makes sense of it in such a way that it it makes it easier to grasp somehow. And I'm I'm excited. I'm just excited. And Christina says, thank you and have a great Beyond Day. Yes, everybody. I wish you just such joy and wonder. For me, wonder is one of the most treasured of experiences. And I am wishing you a wonder filled day. And I'm so grateful to have this time to share with you. You light up my world, and um, it's really great to be back. So I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. This is Maggie, and we go live each weekday morning on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page at 9 a.m. Eastern. And please, please check out the wonderful community and the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network. And until next time, allow yourself to be present to the wonder and joy.